There is something nobody talks about when it comes to empaths and narcissists. Everyone knows empaths get targeted first. They stay longer. They suffer more. They get pulled back more times than anyone else. All of that is true. What rarely gets said is what happens when an empath actually leaves, really leaves. Not in anger, not in exhaustion, but in something quieter and far more permanent. Most people who escape a narcissist never fully leave. They carry the doubt for years, the what-ifs, the hope that one day the version of the person they fell in love with will reappear. They live tethered, even from a distance. Empaths, once they cross a specific internal threshold, do not. Not because they grow colder, but because of something that happens inside their psychology that does not happen in other people. To understand this, it helps to understand why leaving is so hard in the first place. Most people leave from one of three places, and each comes with a built-in trap. They leave in anger, and the narcissist uses that anger because anger is still a connection. They leave in exhaustion, and the narcissist meets them with love bombing, with the grand gestures, with the version of themselves from the early weeks. They leave logically, having read all the articles, named all the patterns: trauma bond, intermittent reinforcement, gaslighting, mirroring. But logic cannot reach the body, and the nervous system, conditioned over months or years to associate this person with safety, keeps pulling toward the source of the danger. Beneath all three lies the deepest trap of all: the need for closure, the need for the narcissist to finally acknowledge what they did. That moment almost never comes, and waiting for it keeps people tethered for years to someone who has already moved on. Empaths feel all of this more intensely. So why are they the ones who can complete the exit when no one else can? It comes down to what they perceive. A narcissist runs on mirroring. In the early stages, they study the other person, learn what they need, what they have always wanted, and become exactly that. It is not love. It is performance, extraordinarily convincing, but performance. Most people read actions and words. Empaths also read what is underneath: the energy, the quality of presence behind the eye contact, the temperature of a room. And as the mask slips, as maintaining the performance becomes harder, the empath starts to feel something they cannot name. Not anger, not sadness, closer to emptiness. Like sitting across from someone they love and feeling there is no one there. The mind keeps explaining it away. Maybe I am too sensitive. Maybe I am the problem. But the body already knows. For someone who has spent their life trusting what they feel, this incongruence cannot be ignored forever. The process unfolds in stages. Confusion comes first. Something does not add up, but there is no name for it. Then, self-blame, the period where the empath does the inner work, reads the books, brings their wounds apologetically to the table. The narcissist's grip is tightest here because a self-blaming empath is too busy examining themselves to look outward. Then research when language finally arrives. Narcissistic abuse, love bombing, trauma bond, intermittent reinforcement. The relief is enormous, and so is the devastation. But knowledge alone does not break the bond. Understanding lives in the mind. The bond lives in the nervous system. Then comes the stage that changes everything, the hollow moment. It often arrives quietly on an ordinary day, mid-sentence. The empath is not angry, not planning, just present. And in that presence, they feel the absence of the person they thought they loved, not the absence of the narcissist, the absence of the person who was never there. Something in them very quietly lets go. The decision that follows is unlike the leavings that came before. It is not reactive, it is not heightened, it is closer to clarity, a settled knowing. The empath understands what they were loving, a version constructed for them. And once that becomes unavoidable, a sentence forms that ends everything. You cannot miss someone who was never real. What makes the empath's exit irreversible is not that they hate the narcissist, it is something more structural. An empath's nervous system is calibrated outward. They feel what others feel, prioritize what others need, extend compassion automatically, often at the expense of themselves. This is what made them a perfect target. The turning point comes when, for the first time, they turn that same depth of feeling toward themselves. They sit with their own pain. They feel it with the same presence they have given everyone else. The part of them that kept shrinking their own needs, the part the narcissist depended on, stops being available. Not by willpower, by witnessing. Then comes the grief. They do not just mourn the relationship. They mourn the person who never existed. Grieving a fiction is disorienting in a specific way, but when the empath lets themselves feel it fully, the hope dies with the grief. And once the hope is gone, the narcissist has nothing left to work with. 3 things become possible at this stage that were not possible before. First, leaving without needing a confession. The closure becomes internal. The empath has finally validated their own experience, so they no longer need the person who hurt them to do it. Second, detachment without hatred. Hatred is still a bond. It keeps the other person occupying central position in the mind. Narcissists have moves against anger, against pleading, against love, even against hatred. They have no moves against genuine indifference, the kind that comes when an emotion has actually been processed rather than suppressed. Third, leaving the wound. Not just the person, the fawn response. The belief that love must be earned, the sense that worth is measured in how much one gives. Those patterns get rewritten at a level deep enough to hold. The narcissist's final moves arrive in this order. Hoovering, the casual reach out, timed exactly when distance has started to create clarity. Love bombing again, the full performance from the early weeks. The smear campaign, when control is fully lost. To an empath past the hollow moment, hoovering reads as a check, not a missing. Love bombing reads as a script being run. The smear campaign loses its grip because the empath no longer needs to win the narrative. This is what a complete escape looks like. Not louder, not angrier, just final. Most people leave a narcissist and spend years wondering if they made the right call. An empath who has done the work leaves and never looks back. Not because they stopped caring, because they finally started caring about the right person. The work that made it possible was never about the narcissist. It was always about the older, quieter wound that made the empath available to this dynamic in the first place. That is a different story, and a necessary one. It begins by asking why someone was the right shape to be cast in this role at all.